Hi, and welcome to this video where we're going to be talking about, can essays get you into college? And the answer is absolutely yes. We'll be talking about how in this video. Today, essays really can make more of a difference than ever before. Why? We'll talk about that. What is it that you need to showcase in your essay? Right? Why are they so much important? And what are those elements that you need? We'll be talking about that. We're going to be talking about making your story come to life. Those things and more we'll be talking about to show you how you can shine through in your essay. All right, in today's admissions world, over 80% of Common App colleges don't require test taking. So if they aren't requiring test taking, what is it they're using to help figure out whether this candidate is going to be a right fit for this school? Well, the answer is the college essay. So more than ever, they're going to look at and give weight to that essay, that ability of the student in presenting this written piece of who they are as a person, as a college candidate, as a potential college student. They're going to look at that and try to get a sense, a feel that, yeah, this is going to be a good candidate. That person's personality is really shining through. So the ability to be able to do that in a college essay is becoming more and more important. And there was a study done way back in 2012 that showed that when students were able to present who they are as a person, their resilience, their growth, the learnings that they had as a human being, that elevated their whole application process. So when you can do that, when you can begin to share who you are, the emotions that come with you, your human nature, right? Your humanity, when you show that in an essay, and that is not so much about your writing skill as much of it as it is identifying the moments in your life to share. It is that sharing of those moments in your life that will tremendously help you differentiate yourself from those other candidates trying to get into this school. And you really want to begin to be able to think about your life and moments of your life and the emotional moments of your life. And the more emotional, the better, positive or negative, right? When you can attach yourself to those and remember those and bring those back up, you don't need to be a great writer for that to come through. All right. So that story can overcome both average grades, mediocre extracurricular involvement, and even mediocre writing. That's the power of it. All right. It's learning to find and identify those stories. Now, there's a fascinating study done in 2021 by the National Association for College Admissions Counseling that said that over 90% of highly selective schools, the college application, the college essay, moderately to significantly influenced or raised the level of that application package. Right? That's over 90% of highly selective schools put a lot of emphasis on the college essay. That's what that's saying. All right, so if it is that important, we really ought to begin to understand what needs to go into that, right? We want to know, what are they really looking for to shine through. So what do these admissions officers really want to see in an essay? Personal growth, ability to personally reflect, and authenticity. So those are the three things you want to make sure you're sharing. So the lessons that you learn when you are looking at your life, you're finding these emotional moments, ones that still kind of resonate in here, right? When you get moved by your own story, that's a good story to be telling and sharing. What you need to be able to do in that is lesson learned. And that will also be your own ability to reflect, right? So it comes through with that. When you can connect at a personal level with that audience because it's personal to you, that's going to elevate the whole game. That ability for you to tell that story is emotional, right? The key elements to the story are you want to be able to hook them in, right? You want to begin it in a way that's going to grab their attention. You can usually do that with like a quote, shocking statistic, a fact, um, a joke, potentially making humor at yourself, right? Any combination of those. And then as you develop the story, you want to make sure your message is clear, right? The lesson that you learned. You want to make sure you have a clear protagonist in that and an antagonist. The antagonist does not have to be a person, right? It could be your mindset. It could be an injury that happened to you. So your antagonist, you want to make sure you have that. You want to develop dialogue within that. And you want to end it with a hook, right? It's that the hook is what's really going to sell that message. It's the line that sells the song. It's that memorable kind of quote or ending, right, that people are left with. That's the elements to a powerful story, but it begins with your ability emotionally to connect on a personal level, the authenticity was something that really happened to you in your life. So let me illustrate by telling you Billy's story. Right? So Billy was a freshman in high school, grew up in a family that loved baseball. His older brother, when he was a freshman, his older brother was a varsity pitcher and a very good one, right? He was part of a 1-2 tandem that pitched basically every game, right? The other guy, then Billy's older brother, then the other guy, then Billy's older brother. And they were a very good high school team in their state. Billy was behind a shortstop who was a junior, who was been playing starter on this team for 3 years, had one more year left. So Billy's kind of eyeing, he wants to be a varsity player because he's a shortstop by the time he's a junior the year after this guy was going to graduate. Well, that summer after his freshman year, he's playing for his varsity coach in the local summer league of the next wave of varsity players. It was not a good summer. Billy got one hit in his very last at bat. A seeing-eye ground ball that barely made it between first and second base. Billy was emotionally spent. Self-doubt's creeping in. Just his whole body language carried himself wrong. He wanted to be able to kind of follow in his brother's footsteps, and he had two older brothers. The other one wasn't quite the star that his oldest brother was, but he was still playing on the varsity team. And he wanted to be there. Now he was doubting all this. Well, rather than wallowing in that self-pity, he went to work. He and his dad went to work. Different drills. They got some other equipment, but they also worked tremendously on his self-confidence. There's some things that they began to try to help him be able to see pitches better. But it was really the mindset work that went to work. So by the time Billy's a junior, the person who was a good friend of his, who had been at third base because this shortstop who was there, nobody's going to beat him out. Well, he was going to be potential heir apparent. He was going to slide over from third to short. Nope. Billy slid into that shortstop role. Billy earned it. But Billy not only just slid into that, he became an all-conference player and was one of the team leaders. That story is what Billy wrote in his essay, with the lessons that he learned, the dialogue that he had with his dad as he went to work. That is what led him to being, or one of the things that helped him stand out so he was able to get accepted at the college of his choice, which he did attend. So I really hope that you all can understand the power of writing a good essay to get yourself into college, and sharing your story. And in that, there's also this idea of the stories you tell yourself, the power of those. Don't underestimate that. As always, please consider subscribing to my channel. And, I would love to see you make some comments, engage, like it, anything that you can do. I love seeing comments. So if you comment on videos, that would be awesome. But get involved. It's really helpful for the other people and all of us. So get engaged, and I'll see you in the next video.